that thing. Everybody get this rolling. All you gotta do is take the total units purchased, total amount paid when you purchase, divide it by the number of units, and multiply it times the inventory amount on hand January 1. It's real straightforward. It's kind of like the weighted mean on the appraisal deal, almost you add them all up and divide it, but different. Here's another column here we talked about yesterday. This is a similar Western wear store. Western Wear District uses the retail method for determining inventory valuation. December 31st, the inventory count was taken in the store. The following facts were determined. Retail value of clothing was $45,000. Retail value of accessories $8,400. Store uses 25% markup on clothing, 40% on accessories. What is the value? What is the cost value of the inventory? So this is the what? Retail markup method. This is not unusual in retail to have different markups on different types of property. Everybody get it? Huh? What you did? All you took is the, took the 45,000 divided by the 1.25, and that gives you 36,000. You want to check it? Take the 36,000, you put a 25% markup on it. You're going to add 9,000, you get 45,000. And you took the retail value of accessories at 8,400 divided by 1.4. You can multiply 40% times the 6,000, will give you 2,400. Added back, will give you the 8,400 retail. There's ways of checking. You can check these problems in this type back and forth. These next ones are a little more tricky. We got this company we're auditing. We'll audit the books. Very similar problem we had yesterday. You know, the books. Physical inventory at cost was 8/1/2014 was 184,660. The purchases at cost was 47,820. Sales through August through December, retail was 207,800. The markup was 30%. Now you got to convert that to cost to find your ending inventory. we're still using the retail markup method, okay? Is it big enough for you to see? I can't really see right there. The better? Y'all can probably see it fine now.
But
See
this is
better.
the retail markup,
Yes,
okay? And you always add the dollar to your customers.
we're just trying to get to the cost that we're trying to do, okay? You have to convert that retail price to cost in this case.
And you always add the dollar.
Retail markup method, yes.
It's not really a dollar.
There's some other method you don't do that, okay? It's in the markup is 30%. So in order to convert these sales to cost, you gotta divide it by the dollar plus the 30%, okay? Let's look at it here. Everybody, farther gonna go? Here we go. Beginning inventory cost, it told us was $184,660. It told us our purchases at cost was $47,820. And what we had to do is convert those sales. Those sales had to be converted cost. So what we had to do was take the 207,800 in sales, divide 1.3, get 159,846. So we had our beginning inventory cost, our purchasing cost, then that stuff we sold is gone now. We got to convert it to cost, so our ending inventory is gonna be roughly 72,634. If you use the retail business, what would happen there? Your shelves look bad, okay? If you start out with 184,000, you end in with 72, it'll appear you're having to go out of business sale probably. I've been on both sides of that creek, okay? But anyway. Is everybody fairly comfortable with that? We're gonna work some more of these in review. I've got some more here. You wanna do another one now or not? Huh? Let's do one. Go over reading this board, we'll do it right here, okay? Let's just call it beginning inventory. It's $200,000. Purchases. At cost. This be $50,000. I'll make it pretty simple. Sales are $125,000. And then the markup is 25%. What's your ending inventory gonna be? okay? You can see the screen, yeah, can you? Wait, one, okay? So what are we gonna do first here in this problem? We know our beginning inventory, it cost us 200,000. Our purchase, it cost us 50,000. What we do to 125?
Divided by
About a 1.25, it's gonna be 200 plus 50 equals 250 minus 100, so our answer is 150. That make sense? It's a pretty simpler example. Okay, let's roll on down to the next one here. See what it is. Ooh, yeah. This time here's a cost to sales ratio now. A little different problem. Remember how we done it yesterday? Cost to sales ratio, it gives you your ratio margin, sales for the current period at retail, and then the beginning inventory at cost, and purchases this period, okay? This is cost to sales ratio, not a markup method, remember? So what we're gonna do here, we're not gonna divide, we're gonna do what? Multiply
By that factor.
times these sales at retail, okay? Then we're gonna calculate our value, okay? It's a little different twist. The main thing is to read the problem correctly. If it says markup, put the 1 in divide. You do the sales ratio, you're gonna multiply times the retail amount. It was cold this morning, wasn't it? Maybe yesterday's supposed to be like 60 degrees, but the wind was blowing like 60 miles an hour. Had a little snip of a chill in it, didn't it?
It'll change today.
Huh?
It will change today.
Oh. Well, he said something tomorrow till the cold front comes in. I mean Thursday, excuse me.
80 on Wednesday.
It's about the same. It rained all day at home yesterday. That rained, it was south of y'all, in the east. It was parked at my house yesterday.
So is that 3% less or more?
Huh?
Is that, it says that the inventory is probably 3%.
Yes,
Is it more or less than this cutoff rate?
it says 3%. He's estimating his inventory is 3%, probably 3% less than his, I think it's less than his, yeah. I can make it worse. There we go, better, not too far.
You can type 175 in that percentage bar.
So what are we gonna do? We know the beginning inventory was $250,000 only. We know our purchases cost are $74,300. So what we're gonna do to that sales for the current period retail, the 110,130, we're gonna do what? Multiply times what? Well, 8526, so we're gonna go plus 250, plus 74, then minus that, what, 93,897? Plus 250 plus 74, minus the 93, which is the 110, 130 times 8526, gives us 234.03. Then he's saying that 3% of it's not good. He's explained to us what's going on there. Some of it's old, some of it's outdated, some of it's not fashionable no more, or it's a feed store and the rat's gotten part of the sack. You know what I'm saying? There's several things that could happen there. It would give us a reason to adjust it. Walmart is starting to ask for that adjustment, or has been for several years. claiming that, you know, some of it's old information. After Christmas, some of it, you know, is Christmas holiday merchandise, we got a discount. Some of it's winter merchandise, we got a discount. Having been in the retail business, I understand that pretty well. You bought some dogs too, by the way, you know what I'm saying? They just, this year's hottest fashion, nobody wanted, or what you thought was hottest fashion. Because you're buying it about 6 months ahead of time. Everybody cool with that one? Everybody good? Let's roll on to one more here, and we'll get on to today's subject, okay? Here's the, it's hard to give this one to you, yeah, it is. Let's just look at it, because there's too many charts and graphs here. Sporting goods store floor plan is 22 to 55, so we measured the store at 1,210 square feet. We look at our charts here on the next page, and it says it's got what? Fair quality, average density, furniture, fixtures, and merchandise both. So on the inventory, we do fair quality, it's gonna be 20 bucks a foot. On the fixtures, it's gonna be 4 bucks a foot. So we come up here, we do the 22 times 1210 times 20 for the inventory, 1210 times $4 for the furniture and fixtures. Then we also said effective age is 5 years, and it's got a 10-year life. So we're gonna come down here and use 58% there. So we're gonna take the 1210 times 4 times 58% good, or 2807. These are just a matter of looking at the chart and making sure you look at the right boxes. Make sure if you got, say, the inventory's fair quality average, but the fixtures is good quality average, make sure you get the right column, the right box. Because you get the wrong column, wrong box, whole nother answer, okay? Let's move into today's favorite flavor. Let's see what I'm at now on my computer here. Let's go here. We'll make this thing here. We're gonna go back to here. And we're going down to review here. And we're going to the one that I done. We actually modified it yesterday some. We are back on track now. Don't get a new internet, what happened to the old one? Y'all get rid of the one that, what was the guy running for president, and there was the internet, what's his name?
Tim Gore,
Huh?
Al Gore.
Al Gore internet. Y'all get rid of the Al Gore version, go to somebody else?
He uses all the same color, green,
Huh?
so just green fonts and green backgrounds and green.
See, I don't have a clue anything on the internet. I'm just somewhat comfortable now. I could do this other way. Yeah, this way, it's gonna be a while, it's just something else here. Come on. Gotta put the cord down. Whoa. There we go. Oh. Go past that one. Hey, what is there? I want to put, click yes on the update your IT guy on the corner with it.
You can click remind me later.
I know, but if I push yes to do it, the IT guy would have it.
But if you do remind me later, it'll
Oh,
stop
will
it
it
for a
anymore?
day or something.
Okay, but if I push the
Oh,
update,
I know.
the IT guys
Yeah.
will like,
Yeah.
some guys on the outside updating the computer. We have the same problem in the office, okay? You gotta have them, but sometimes you, ours, we would really like him, but don't ask him what time it is.
He'll tell you how to build a clock.
He gotta go to watch or clock, okay? It's just their, it's their
Yeah,
DNA,
that's right.
they have a tendency to, I just want the answer to the question, not the explanation behind the, you know. Because you have to be careful about it, you don't want to upset them, you know, but anyway. They're just interesting people. Ours is actually, he's self-taught really, him in the school and this stuff. But he had a brother-in-law that works for Dell, he's the ex-brother-in-law now, but anyway, to answer any question that Charlie couldn't figure out. So Charlie's father died, I went to Charlie's dad's funeral. That was the coldest I've been in my life. It was up in Bowie on a hill, and it was like 22 degrees in the wind. Everybody's getting the graveside service only. You're just trying to stay out of the wind. And his uncle come up to me and said, how do you know Charles? I said, well, I actually work with Charles. I said, no. He's an interesting chap, isn't he? He's always, I'm just saying, you know, okay, we'll leave it there, okay? Okay, let's talk about the market approach methods here a little bit. Just a reminder that your level 3 will have 19 questions. Level 4 is going to have 20 questions. We'll just kind of, we'll talk about a few definitions and stuff here first. Right at the top of the page there, it talks about the market approach methods. There were some various methods called the sales comparison approach, the gross rent or income multipliers, the land development method, and the stock and the debt method. Am I loud today?
No, you're perfect.
My hearing aids are a little bit hot, sounds like to me. Don't tell mechanical, you know? It's kind of, I know it's too hot, you know, a little bit. It's okay, I must have to learn to adjust it. I could actually program it where it would adjust based on the GPS too, though. That's pretty cool. I could actually set up a setting for this building, so when I walk in here, it automatically adjust it. I could set up setting, I mean, first day I got them, I get in the doctor's office, and you first put them in, you start in real mechanical, you get home, your wife is screaming at you. Like, what's she screaming about? I couldn't hear before, you know what I'm saying? I had to have a home adjustment, okay, but anyway. So, literally, I thought she's screaming. I said, what's the problem here? So, you can probably hear me. So anyway, we got through that, okay? Let's talk about some definitions here. Remember the 4-3-2-1 rule? You'll probably have a question about 4-3-2-1. Every test I've had a question about it. That tells us basically what? If a lot is a deep lot or just a rectangular lot, the first 25% of the lot has 40% of the value. Second 25 has 30% of the value. Third section back has 20% of the value, and the back 25 has 10% of the value. So the question would be, if the lot value is $100,000, what's the front half of it worth, using 4-3-2-1? So we would say the front half's gonna be what? 70%, right? So it's pretty simple. You ever use this in your office? I know a guy, I think in Arlington, that got a divorce and they used this method. There's a deal when he had some commercial property in Arlington, and his wife got the front of the property, and he got the back. But they drilled gas wells on the back property, and she sued him to get part of that deal. But anyway, that's another story, okay? 65-35 rule is similar. If you got a triangle shaped lot with a base facing the street, we'll have 65% of the value, and the rear section will have 35. I've never recalled us using that, but let y'all be the first, okay? Actual age is the physical age of the improvements. Amenity is a feature or improvement that adds to the value of a property. It's not a part of the base schedule, so you can have some amenities to a property. You can have a pool. Let's picture $1 million pool, I don't want to see, okay? You got a picture of it?
I can get it on Google Maps.
Really? That's gonna be cool. How about assemblage or anticipation? That always shows up somewhere in somebody's future. Is an economic principle that states the value is derived from future expected benefits. I told you yesterday, somebody could have an example of somebody buying a strip center, a retail center, and for retirement income, that's called anticipating. Or if you bought a place at the lake to retire on, you could be anticipating retiring there. How about assemblage? Have you ever seen anybody create some assemblage? They buy several smaller tracks up to form one larger track, then sell it to Walmart or somebody like that. We had that happen in Decatur for a CVS. There were several smaller tracks. Somebody assembled them together, sold to CVS. Balance, like we said yesterday, it's the economic principle that property will have more value if the surrounding area provides complement. So we talk about the property around it is complementing it, whether they're competing with it. You'll have some of that. Let's look at some building schedules. It's for the cost of coach, use information from the sales comparison approach. It's also both the sales and cost. So a lot of times, we're gonna talk about this a little bit in this particular, section about how you would build a cost schedule using sales. You can do that sometimes. You got a bunch of properties selling of similar properties, similar square footages or varying square footages. You can create a building schedule using information from the sales comparison approach. Information can be used both in sales comparison and in cost both. Or sometimes we rely on some cost guide, Marshall and Swift, to help us build a cost schedule. Change, as we said yesterday, what's happening today as we sit here in the marketplace. It's changing some, isn't it? People, they're building new houses. We got builders announcing developments as we speak about building more homes. You know, you'll have like a whole bunch of homes being built in Lubbock, or locked under the built homes. You know a bunch of that? Or not? It means yes, it means no.
Well, in Midland, we are having that.
Bunch of houses being built?
Yes.
But what's gonna happen though, say even in my world, I think there's like 3,000 lots under development in Wise County, okay? Population 65,000. There's 3,000 lots under development as we speak to build on. What happens in the next 18 to 24 months if we have 12, 15, 1,800, 2,000 new houses hit the market? Are we gonna be able to absorb those as fast as they're building? We may, because we're right next to Dallas and Fort Worth. I seen it pop up this morning. Guess where the most mosquito-infested place in the world is? Dallas Fort Worth. But it said Orkin has more spraying contracts than anywhere else in the United States. I feel better already about going to town. But anyway, change. The market's going to be changing. Competition. As we build more properties, as we, as houses in Wise County are, pretty simple houses are selling for $150 a foot now, okay? So it's bringing more competition in to build more houses. As we build more houses, it could create some what? Correction in the price, possibly. It could lead to ruinous competition. You can get to me, if we get 1,500 new houses hit the ground this year, it could be a problem at some point. Could be a saturation, I think. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I would say we tap the brakes and slow down for about 3 years. Conformity. Economic principle states that a property will rise to its highest possible level if architectural styles are relatively homogeneous and surrounding land uses are compatible with its use. But we'll also have those properties, sometimes it looks like a diamond in the rough or a sore bruised thumb out there, don't we? How about consistent use? We're going to always value things as a single use. We're not going to say the highest and best use for the building is one thing and land is something else. But we're talking about improvements on the site are the same as the highest and best use of the land. If the use is not consistent, the building is a burden on the land, has no value, and the cost to remove should be removed from the value. We've all had properties in our areas that had some old nasty structure on it, house, commercial building, that became a burden to the land, didn't it? The fact that property would have been better off what? Dozed off, cleaned, if my Dairy Queen, my Dairy Queen is a burden to that tract of land at the corner of Business 380 and Highway 287.
Why is that?
Huh?
Why is that?
Number one, it's built in 1960. Dairy Queen is. And that dirt's worth about $20 a foot now.
Oh, wow.
You wouldn't put a Dairy Queen on $20 dirt, probably. Probably not. It'd be something more popular or more, that's a nice way. Dairy Queen's not building in prime locations no more. That makes sense? Dairy Queen's building in secondary locations. Other fast food restaurants would build in a primer location than Dairy Queen now. I think it's just because of the economics of Dairy Queen. Chick-fil-A, you look at Chick-fil-A, I found a new one yesterday over here. They're not in the greatest locations, but we're lining up to get in that place, 2 wide, 12 deep, down there on South University down there, right next to the storage buildings, by the way. They got storage buildings wrapped around that location. There's a sign on the storage building. bring your Chick-fil-A receipt in and get $1 move in first month. So the guy next door saying, hey man, if they're gonna pile them in here, I'm gonna capitalize on it, okay? It's kind of a good deal though for him. Got all these people seeing this, they're having to look at the sign, they're waiting in line, okay? It's better than a billboard on the loop, a whole lot cheaper, but anyway. Consistently used though. So sometimes you got a property that becomes a burden. Remember I told you yesterday, these consumptive use stuff is out there. You're gonna see some of that. When the probable use is the purchaser, it may be called consumptive. In other words, the consumer is buying the property. It's typical of a residential usage, and the market approach is generally the best indicator of values that directly reflects actions of participants in the market. I told you on your level exam, there's several use questions. I've had lots of feedback about the use questions. And the problem I have with them sometimes is, we don't use that every day, do we? But yet they're gonna test you on it, so just be ready for that, okay? We talked about yesterday about contribution. It's a very good appraisal theory. We know somebody spent $75,000 on a pool, but we know that pool probably won't bring $75,000 if that house sells, will it? It may. It could be $1 million house with a $75,000 pool. That all may come back to him. It could be a $300,000 house with a $75,000 pool. He's probably not getting it all back. You can bring that on down to a $150,000 house with a $75,000 pool. There's no way he's getting all that back. You know what I'm saying? So contribution could be a pool, could be a remodel, could be some type of outbuilding structure. How about economic life? Talk about the period of time which the tangible asset is expected to contribute value to the property. This is usually a shorter period of time than its physical life. So the physical life, how long will last what is built, how much economic life is left. As part of it's been what? Used up for the time it was built. Effective age. This is a great question for all of us every day, isn't it? Looking at real estate, what is the effective age of this property? It's the typical age of a structure that respects its utility and condition. It may or may not be the same as its chronological age. So we're talking there, if we talk, put this in the back of your head too, some of these questions on your exam, level 3, level 4 exams, may not have you work a problem, but it might ask you what the formula is, okay? You may not have to work the problem, but you need to know what the formula is. So what does that tell you? If you can work the problem, you should be able to identify the multiple choice formula. But just because you work the problem, and they ask you what the formula is, don't let it just throw you into a rigor, okay? So the formula for effective age is total economic life minus the remaining economic life. So think about formulas. We got a whole sheet about formulas here in a minute, I think, too. What's the formula? What's the formula? Here's an example. Effective gross income.
What's that effective age for?
Huh?
What'd you say that formula was? For
I said it's
effective age?
total economic life minus the remaining economic life gives you the effective age. What's the effect? If you got our classic thing in our office is a 50-year-old house that's been remodeled 3 times. What's the effective age of that house? It's had remodel after 20 years, 30 years, and it had a remodel at 45 years. Now, to what extent was it remodeled? A. But what's the effective age of that house? That house is already 50 years old. When it was built, its economic life was 50 years. It's already extended that. But it's already got some, it's built out of real wood, by the way, okay? You ever been in an old house? We tore down an old house one time across the street. Had 2 befores. It was 2 inches by 4 inches, made out of lumber that a power saw would barely cut. It was just really dense, really hard lumber. That's going to be around a while. Termites don't even like it too well, okay? So effective gross income is the PGR. What did we say the PGR meant? Potential gross rent minus vacancy collections, plus secondary income. What do we say some examples of secondary income are? It could be vending machines, it could be covered parking, it could be laundromat, several things could fall into there. The different type of businesses. An effective gross rent was the potential gross rent minus the vacancy collection loss. Then we got expense ratio. If you work commercial property, you'll learn that certain properties have certain expense ratios. We have learned that our hotel industry in Wise County has something like a 60, 65% expense ratio. So some guy brings us in expenses that are like 75%. We go, whoa, time out. You know, you're kind of out of the ratio range here. What's going on here? They always got a great story to tell you. It generally involves expenses in the home office. It's not related to the operation of the property. That's another story. Percentage of operating expenses to gross income to use to calculate expenses and help determine comparability in the sales and income approach. So if the expense ratio is way out of line, we probably won't be able to use that, will we? We're talking about market expense ratio. Fixture, that we discussed a little bit yesterday. We said personal property is getting taxed to real estate in a way that removing it would damage the real estate. It is required to be part of the real property. But yet, if the intent of the owner was to make the personal property part of the real estate, personal property is now part of the real estate. But you could have fixtures that are removable without damaging the real estate. We had a court case one time on some gas pumps. At appellate court, they ruled it was part of the real estate. We still don't tax them that way, okay? But it was just the appellate court ruling. You get a bunch of lawyers together with, you know, you never know what's gonna happen, okay? Highest and best use. We always talk about that a lot. It's the most profitable use of a tract of land over the longest period of time. So what's the best use of this property over a period of time? Can the highest and best use change? It can. You've all seen the areas, in your areas, where you had the highway through town, it was all residential properties, then suddenly somebody buys a house, dozes it down, puts in a dentist office, a doctor's office, or a fast food restaurant. That area might change highest and best use, go from residential, thoroughfare business, to actual pure commercial sometimes. How about improvements on the land? Somebody told me they had this shown for their future. It's structures erected on the land. It's different than improvements to the land, okay? Improvements on the land are structures made to the property, or improvements to the land will be things such as drainage, utilities, curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. So you got two different things there, improvements on and improvements to. So on and to make it a little different, don't they? We talked about the increasing and decreasing returns. The 4 agents of production, we said were land, labor, capital improvements, and management or coordination must be in balance for a property to produce optimum returns. We said yesterday, if we come out here and our improvement cost gets too high for the property, or our labor cost gets too high, or our management cost, somebody charges us a 20% management fee, we thought it was gonna be 10%, this return may not be as good because it kinda got out of balance, didn't it? Another one of those uses, we talked about how those uses are gonna show up somewhere. I think it's the operator now, more think about this. Properties that are purchased for their income stream. Income approach is good, the best indicator of value. An example of investment used for to buy a retail property. You're investing in that property, expecting a return, so think about investment, retail, return, income approach. You can kind of, we said a while ago, we had the residential, what do we say, consumptive, consumer, market approach. How's the consumer gonna treat it? This is how's the investor gonna treat it? So you gotta break those down as to how they're gonna be handled by each type of investment. We talk about the land development method. I think we could actually work a problem on here on that. It's praising large tracts into future development. We don't have sufficient information to do this sometimes. We've done it a couple of times. If I've got a 100-acre tract out here, it's got lots of frontage, and I want to cut it into 10 10-acre tracts, that's pretty simple, isn't it? I'm probably just gonna have some surveying expense and not a lot more than that, okay? So I can do that pretty easy. If there's 10 acre tracts, you're gonna sell for $15,000 an acre. Therefore, I'm gonna get $1.5 million out of this property. I could buy the property for $750,000. I could essentially double my money, couldn't I? We did that one time. All your profits in the last 2 tracts, though. You sell, we had 8 tracts, we've sold the first 6 out, your profits in the last 2. You really don't cash out these sell the last 2, so you got kind of a waiting or holding period there. Now, however, if you get into now, in our county now, the land development method, they try to change the minimum acreage requirement from 2 acres to 5 acres, just recently. That did fail. Some other counties voted against it. But now, then, if you develop in Wise County, you gotta do a flowage easement study for each tract that you develop. Not just the parent tract. If you're cutting up 350 lots, you need 350 flowage study easements, with flowage studies. Killing, it slows some things down a little bit. Not all bad. Not the end of my world, okay? Living area. Total heated and cool area of a residence. Always a critical thing to make sure we get that right. Let's talk about some market-related adjustments. Adjustments made to sales relative to market conditions. Financing and time fall under that category. And the sales must meet the definition of market value transactions. We do the sales grid. We're going to do some market-related adjustments. We're going to adjust it for time and for financing. What if, this is like, for instance, market-related adjustment. If I'm selling my house and I'm asking $100,000 for it, okay? That would be much house in my world anymore, okay? Say I'm asking $300,000 for it. And I've listed it with a realtor, and now I've got 5 offers, okay? And I've got 2 offers at $300,000. I got 2 offers at $310,000. I've got 1 at $315,000 and 1 at $320,000. The part of the stipulation on the $320,000 is that I contribute $5,000 towards closing costs. So what is my adjusted sales price going to be? $315,000, isn't it? My ex-daughter-in-law's sister had a house in Weatherford, 1,800 square foot, built like in the early 60s. She bought when she went to school there, put it on the market for $180,000. She got 5 offers in 3 days, anywhere from $180,000 to $215,000. The 180 offer was financing, 185 was financing, 200 was financing, 210 had $30,000 cash to put down. 215 was wanting 100% financing. So which offer did she take? The 210, because it would close. 215, the 100% financing was going to be a stretch. It makes sense? Because they did a market analysis worth 180. Now they're offering you 215 with 100% financing. They may not close. But the guy at 210 with 30 grand cash, it's a home run deal. So they took the 210 offer, 30 down cash down, closed in 3 weeks. Well, the other guy might have had trouble closing at 215, 100% financing. So there's so many things that goes into that market-related. But like I say, you got market conditions, financing, time adjustments. Sales must meet the definition of the market conditions. A market value, we've discussed this several times. You should have this ingrained in your heads. The exposed open market, both seller and purchaser know all its uses. Both seller and purchaser seek to maximize gains. Neither is in a position to take advantage of the extension of the other. Percentage good. Estimated rated value after deducting all depreciation and obsolescence. Just remember this, 60% good has the same meaning as 40% depreciated, doesn't it? It's just kind of so if you have something that says percentage good or percentage depreciated, just make sure you apply that correctly, okay? You can change the meaning of that problem, can it? What's a formula for percentage good? RCN new minus depreciation will give you a percentage good on it. How about plottage? where you combine two more parcels of land with intent to increase the value of per unit basis. How many times you seen somebody have a little small tract, and they buy the tract next door to it, and it's worth more money that way? They may have to pay a premium for the tract next door, but they made their whole tract worth more. If you got a tract here in, even in Lubbock, it's on a small narrow lot, if you could buy two of those, you might could sell to a fast food restaurant. Everything in Lubbock is on thoroughfare business. Like, every road I go down, man, it's a mixed use sometimes of things. You've got lots of commercial properties up there too, though. Every street's got commercial properties, everywhere. Potential gross income. That's potential gross rent plus the secondary income. It's a formula you can be thinking about. Equals a PGI or all the market income a property is able to produce. That's all it can produce. You got the primary potential gross rent and the secondary income. You get to the potential gross income. Potential gross rent is the total rent a property would produce at market rent. Always remember it's at market rent, because you may have your client or your taxpayer saying, I'm only renting this for $1,000 a month, but you know the market conditions are like $1,200 a month, so your potential gross rent may be different than his actual rent. So you're gonna explain to him, well, we're trying to use market rent, and they're gonna argue, it's not what I'm getting, well, it's what you should be getting. Those are old leases, well, they've been with me forever, and they pay on time. I would stay with them too, okay? They pay me on time, you know. You're gonna force me to raise their rent, because the taxes are going up, that's between you and them, I'm not forcing you to do anything. You could absorb that if you needed to, okay? Every time you see that phone call from a realtor, you're killing my deal, these rollbacks are killing my deal. I'm not killing your deal, you're killing your own deal. You should have educated them about that, okay? I've had some nasty calls about rollbacks. That rollback tax is gonna kill my deal. No, it's not. You should have explained to them up front it was gonna happen and negotiated in the contract. Don't try to blame it on me now, okay? But anyway, they will do that, won't they? Another one of those uses, a productive use or a manufacturing, its properties are purchased for their ability to produce a product or usually owner occupied sometimes. The cost approach is the best approach on a manufacturing plant. You don't have a lot of comps, do we, on manufacturing plants? But think about manufacturing, producing something, and in this case, we're talking about the cost approach. Now, we talked about a little bit about progression. Progression is an economic principle that an inferior property value is increased by its proximity to property of the same class. Think about a subdivision where somebody's got a fairly plain house in the subdivision, and all these newer, nicer houses are built around it. When get ready to sell, what's going to happen? It's going to be pulled up with that better market in it, a better neighborhood. It can be the reverse. It can be regression. A superior property is decreased by the proximity to the inferior property. How many times the taxpayer come in and say, my house not worth as much as it is because it's a bad neighborhood? Check and see, there's about a 50% chance, it's relatives, okay?
Yeah.
It's kinfolks. That nasty double wide's where your son-in-law and daughter lives, okay? More times than not, in my world, when they're griping at the neighbor, they're griping about family, okay? Or we've had this thing nowadays, on a couple of occasions now, where somebody's got a registered sex offender sign in their yard, and they're coming in saying, my property's worth 20% less, because the neighbor has that sign in their yard. And my answer in Wise County is the same. The sign goes up at 8 o'clock this morning. It's gone tomorrow morning. I'm not trying to be ugly. They don't keep those signs up very long. Somebody takes it down, mama comes by and gets it, or somebody comes by and gets it. So it's not exactly a stigma to everybody, because they have a tendency to take those signs down. And there's some weird situations in that too, but I won't get into that. So you got regression to inferior properties of the same class use. Rent and income multiplier method. This is what we use. Values from income producing properties, multiply times a market derived factor or multiplier. I like to use this whenever I can, because when I go to ARB, it's simpler to understand. Now, they don't recommend it for complex properties. I've used it probably when I shouldn't have used it, but my ARB understands it really well. rather than trying to explain to them expenses, cap rates, etc. If I can keep this as simple as possible, it's pretty easy to understand. Stock and debt technique, sales comparison approach. When an insufficient number of sales are found, value is placed on the property based on its liabilities and equity on the company's balance sheet. We started doing a little of this, trying to track down some value of some corporate assets on some major players in our marketplace. The problem is, if all their assets are in Wise County, it's good. I can kind of break it down. But if they got assets scattered all over West Texas, North Texas, and throughout the world, it's kind of hard to put it together in it. Then we have the sales comparison approach. It's one of the three approaches to value. We value for subject property is estimated upon a comparison to other similar properties. Also called a market approach. So you may see it called the sales comparison approach. You may see it called the market approach. So if you see the other one, don't be panicky. Just roll with it, okay? Because it's just the same thing. Don't let it throw you a curve. Even some of the depreciation terms get twisted a little bit. Depreciation, obsolescence. Sometimes we twist those around a little bit, and don't let that throw you a curve either, okay? Whoa. Subject-related adjustments. Remember what we had? Well, we had market-related adjustments as far as time and financing. After we get through the market-related adjustments in our sales grid, we're going to do some subject-related adjustments. How are they similar? How are they different from the subject? Are they the same size? Are they the same age? Do they sit on a different size tract of land? Are they in better condition or worse condition? Do they have some amenities? Do they have a pool? Do they have a metal shop? Do they have some other type of out structure? Is the topography the same? Of course, out here